On today's episode, we are going to address the key positions the 49ers need to tackle days 1 and day 2 of the NFL draft. We'll look at some of the top 30 prospects. We'll go over some of the 49ers draft history. This is going to be a draft-based show. Get your questions ready. Smash that like button. If you're new, subscribe, and let's get going. What's going on, 49er faithful? Welcome to the WayneBreezie show. So you guys thought you weren't getting a live Breezy show this week because my schedule was just all over the place. Haha, I am here. Aha, I am here. Listen, we're brought to you by our sponsors over at Residency. So make sure you guys go to www.residency.com. Use the promo code SFBreezy and you can save some money on your total purchase. Everybody likes to save money. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's live show. Shout out to all of my Breezy Bunch crew out there. I'm ear horning everybody off the TOP. Jax Knox first in the building says, good afternoon, faithful. Hope everyone is doing well on this mid-Friday. Have a great show. Boats made the live show. What's going on, Boats? It's good to see you always. All right, Don't Bother Me's in the building as well. And shout out to everybody else that's out there watching the live show, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook, whether it's X. We are streaming live today. So let's get this show popping. Look, the Niners have been kind of like just chillaxing, relaxing, and getting ready for the draft. I don't know what more else you guys want the 49ers to do other than to sign Brock Purdy. I think that's imminent. We're hoping that happens like very soon. We tackle that, get that out of the way. I was sitting having a conversation and I said to myself, what if? And I'm just going to put this what if question out there. We'll start the show off with a what if question. What if my good friend Trent Williams decides to let the 49ers know that he's going to hang up the cleats and he's going to retire? How much of that would derail the 49ers plans going into the 2025 NFL draft? So make sure you guys feel free to let me know an answer to that question, because I just had a funny feeling that what if that happened? It happened before. We've seen it. It's not like the Niners have not seen that happen. We can go back to number 74, Joe Staley. At least he let the Niners know in time to where they were able to make a trade for Trent Williams. But that would change the plans of the draft. Wouldn't you think? Now the 49ers, I feel like that position of need would definitely be left tackle, not right tackle, not offensive guard, but a pure bona fide left tackle. Who are we going to trade for at this moment, at this time? So the NFL draft is in 13 days. That's right, Brock Purdy days away from the NFL draft. And the 49ers, if that happened, I'm not saying it's a hypothetical. I'm not wishing it happens. I'm not even really, I guess I'm putting it in the atmosphere. You know what it is? I'm preparing myself for if something like that was to happen. Why? Because it's happened before. I think, and I think that's fair. I think it's fair to, prepare yourself for something like that if it was to happen again. All right. So look, the Niners top 30 visits. We got a bunch of them right here. Let's see, we got Kobe Bryant. And I'll talk a little bit about these kids. Some of these kids I met at the Reese Senior Bowl. Kobe Bryant was at the Shrine Bowl. Once I started watching film on Kobe Bryant, I was like, oh, he's a dog. And once I saw what he did at the Shrine Bowl, I was like, he's even more of a dog. Kobe Bryant is a dog. And he kind of has like the play style of Renardo Green and the mentality of Diamador Lenore. Like, why does he sound like a San Francisco 49er pick to me for some reason? You know what I'm saying? He's just a dog, Appreciate all the love in the comments out there in the live comment section. If I don't get to it, I just want you to know I appreciate you. But yeah, you're a dog. So the 49ers, these top 30 visits are important. So far, I think I have tracked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12. So they have 18 more. And I'm sure they're going to be rolling in over the next week or so because the NFL draft is coming up in 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks, 13 days. So you're going to see a lot more top 30 visits happening. But Kobe Bryant, so far the 49ers have met with two cornerbacks as far as top 30 visits. So you got two cornerbacks, Kobe Bryant from Kansas. You got cornerback Quincy Riley, another dog. Met him at the Senior Bowl. Another dog. You talking dogs? Like these guys are a little feisty. Like, and I like that. They play big. Remember last year there was a kid that I liked. He went to the Giants. Drew Phillips. That's kind of the vibe I get from Quincy Riley this year. He gives me that kind of vibe. But these are two players that the San Francisco 49ers seem to be high in on, and they've had a top 30 visits with these players, and I'm hoping the interviews went well, and maybe one of the two, or if they're going to interview more, but maybe they do select more players this year from these top 30 visits, because you can see these top 30 visits are a lot more premium players, and we'll get to some of those premium players shortly, but you can see that some of these players are like premium players at their position, and the Niners are really doing their due diligence, being that they have the 11th pick in the draft, and we'll go over the draft picks as well. But the Niners are definitely doing their homework. Shout out to the scouts. The two scouts for the 49ers, they're all the scouts for the 49ers, but shout out to the main guys in charge, Tariq Ahmed, and they're doing their thing. They're really doing their thing. So Kobe Bryant and Quincy Riley are the two corners. So far, they've done 3 tight ends. They've had top 30 visits with 3 tight ends. Okay, so 3 tight ends. And I'm not saying that they're going to draft any of these players. They have in the past under this regime, but I'm not saying that they are, but 3 tight ends and 3, I guess you could say 3 different style of tight ends. I mean, 2 of the tight ends, Jalen Conyers, Harold Fannin Jr., kind of play the same style. They're kind of like that Joker wild card. You can utilize them. Not super fast, 4.7 speeds for both of them, but they could be utilized as wildcats, quarterbacks. They could be utilized in the backfield as running backs. Like they could be utilized. Very, very good production from Harold Fannin Jr., Jalen Conyers from Texas Tech, another guy you could probably get maybe 4th or 5th round. But then they interviewed Jackson Halls, kid that stood out at the Senior Bowl. One of my partners in crime, Steph Sanchez, was super high on this kid at the Senior Bowl, and congrats, he's got that top 30 visit. What I like about him, what I love about him is his blocking, pass blocking, run blocking through the roof, but he's also able to, be a threat in the red zone. And I saw that at the Senior Bowl. He caught a couple of touchdowns from Seth Hennigan, from the quarterback from Memphis. And so like Jackson Halls would be a stout. Now, I feel like the Niners already signed a player like a Jackson Halls and Luke Farrell in free agency. But hey, man, I'm cool with being wrong. Like, hey, you want to draft another guy, draft another guy. I don't care. Get another tight end in here, because I really want to see some 12 personnel this year. I really, truly think we deserve more 12 personnel. Some of these types of sets out there force these defenses to have to cover tight ends, double tight ends, force the defenses to set up a little bit differently, and it affects and helps the run game a lot too, right? You running with 2 tight end sets that can run block, that'd be gonna be crazy fire. Like, you know what I mean? Thank you to the Under the Helmet podcast. This is pretty dope. Keep the content coming. I appreciate that. Thank you. So 3 tight ends, 1 linebacker. We've only had one top 30 visit with 1 linebacker so far. His name is Justin Jacobs from Oregon. Not even Jeffrey Bossa. Everybody's been high on the Jeffrey Bossa kid, but Justin, Justin, Justin Jestin, Justin Jacobs from Oregon has been the linebacker that they've had a top 30 visit. And we'll talk about that, because I got a little weird science going on with my show today. It's a reason why we're doing the show like this. All right. Defensive tackles so far 3. You got Walter Nolan, Omar Norman Lott, and then you got Tyleik Williams. So you got 3 different types of defensive tackles. Really quickly, if you watch any of my pre-draft shows or any of my stuff, like I talk about these players all the time, but you guys know my number 2, Walter Nolan, number 3, Derek Harmon. And I love Omar Norman Lott. Been talking about him since the Senior Bowl. Why? Because he can win up front. He plays with that crazy high motor. and wins up front. Pass rush win rate is through the roof anyway. But he didn't play a lot of snaps either. So, there's good and there's some things that make you question it. Walter Nolan, obviously, the immaturity, those are the stories that are coming out. His ability, I think he has a pretty good, damn strong anchor against double teams, but you let other people tell it he can't. He's struggles against double teams. Maybe it's the double team. Maybe it's the players that he was double teamed by, like that Georgia game. Like, don't base his whole draft off of the one game against Georgia. I feel like it's just one game. Like, go through the body of work. But when I look at Walter Nolan, I'm looking at a guy that can line up and play all 5 spots or all 4 spots on the defensive line. All the techniques he's got it 1-3, wherever you need him to play, he could do. He can even play nose tackle if you need him to line up over the center. And we ran that type of style. He makes your defense flexible, but I think he's stout. Omar Norman Lott, again, he just wins up front, man. If you're looking for a guy that can get to the quarterback with a relentless motor, right? Like the motor just doesn't turn off. It's like all the time. It's him. My only knock on him is he rotational? And so if he's rotational and you draft him 3rd round or fourth, third, fourth, that's perfect. 1st round, 2nd round. I'm not looking for a rotational guy. I'm looking for a guy that can be out there all 3 downs. You know what I'm saying? That's why Walter Nolan wins that. But then they went and interviewed Tyleik Williams, right? So he had a top 30 visit. Now I like Tyleik because that's the big guy. That's the big run stuff, and like that's what he's known for. He's known to help plug the middle. He's known to help take on and soak up those doubles and clear the gaps for your linebackers to come down. And that doesn't mean that the other two they don't do that either. But his body frame, the way he's built, 320, 30, 40 pound plus guy. Like, this guy is a big, you saw him run at his pro day. He did get a little dinged up. He tripped, right? But nothing serious at his pro day. He's healthy. He's good to go. And it's good because he kind of wasn't healthy at the combine, so he didn't work out there, but he did do the pro day for Ohio State, and he ran and whatever. But I like that. I like that they're looking to go big run stuffer, and they're looking to go with some type of a rushing guy ability. Now, the question is, do they go with the guy that could do both really good, or do they get 2 guys that one specifies in run stuffing, so, like I said, cool. All right. And then far as the defensive ends, 1, 2, on the list so far, we got Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. He's like the athletic freak. Okay. The big fella, the 10 RAS scorer guy. All right. But the production definitely wasn't there. But pay attention because so far, and these are the ones that have been reported. I'm hearing Mike Green also had a top 30 visit as well. It was a different type of edge rusher out there, but these are the ones that are reported from 49ers Web Zone. And so I will say this. Those 2 edge rushers that they have met with, Mykel Williams from Georgia and Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M, those are the big mountains out there. Them the 265 plus, right? 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". Let's give that range of height. And then you're looking at 260, 265 plus, right? And weight. I mean, guys that really can get out there, set the edge against the run game. And when we talk about setting the edge, we're talking about like not being like, being strong enough and big enough to take on blocks from, chips from the tight ends, the left tackles, things like that, right? Those guys that can help set the edge, shed those blocks, and continue to still be edge defenders, not allowing the runners to get outside, forcing them to cut back inside so that those linebackers can kind of come and clean up and make the tackles. That's what we mean by setting the edge, right? Like, they take the edge away from the run game and they set it, and then boom, 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 they kick it back inside, and it usually is a tackle for a loss. When you look at these guys are mountains. And I look at the 49ers, I feel like they kind of got like Nick Bosa's a mountain. Like, regardless of how you look at him, he's what, 6'4", 264. Well, he's a mountain. He's a big guy, 6'5", 2. He's a mountain. So maybe that's the type. I don't know. I would like to see them change it up a little bit. I don't mind it being the 245, 255 range, quick guy out on the edge, high sack production. I don't mind it being different. I think, me personally, I think the San Francisco 49ers are looking to get that D Ford role back into their repertoire. They do have some guys, but I think they're looking to get that D Ford roll back into their repertoire, so the speed on the edge. So those are the top 30 visits that the 49ers have had. They've also met with and talked to other players on the phone, virtual meetings, things like that. So, all right, so guys, make sure you guys smash that like button. If this is your first time watching, please subscribe. It supports the channel. You already know what it does. Hitting that like button helps the algorithm and all that good stuff. So no need to explain it furthermore. All right, now let me just go to the comment section. This is a live show. I just want to see if I got any questions right now off the top, off the TOP. All right, I see my man, but I'm gonna work myself backwards a little bit. So Boat says Shamar Stewart is such a boomer bust type draft pick. So let me just explain, maybe for those that might not understand, well, how will he be a boom or how will he be a bust? I think this is the perfect way to look at him. The question is, if the 49ers did decide to draft Shamar Stewart, do we trust this 49ers organization to develop this kid? He has the traits, he has the physical traits, the physical attributes, the measurements. He has all of those things to be a great defensive edge rusher. Now, let me just share my experience with Shamar Stewart. His production was low. Like he wasn't a high producing sack guy. You know what he did though? Set the edge. Like he really helped set the edge at Texas A&M. And Nick Scorton, the opposite edge rusher, not a lot of sacks from him, volume from him either. Another mountain out there, which I wouldn't mind the Niners actually taking a look at if that's their style of defensive end. Just the production is low. Like the production is low. So that's why he could be a bust. Like the production in college can translate over into the NFL. And if he didn't produce in college, what makes you think he's going to produce in the NFL? And, but here's my experience though with him at the Senior Bowl, day one, it might have been day two, if I'm not mistaken. Whoever he laid out, that was it. Like he laid somebody out. I'll leave it at that. I mean, I remember being in the stands, and I was filming, and then all you heard was a car crash sound, and then a cheer, like yeah, right. And then that was the end of his Senior Bowl. Like he was done. He put enough work in, and then he went and tested for the combine and tested through the roof. Right. That was against all-stars. I'm kind of curious to know what the hell was Texas A&M doing. So and hear me out. Who was the coach of the defensive line at the Senior Bowl? It was KJ Wright, the 49ers guy, defensive guy. He was the coach. He coached the line. He coached the edge. He coached the front. Like, I'm just saying, if he's the pick, I believe the Niners feel like they'll know how to utilize him. But like you said, Boats, could be boom or mother freaking bust. Yeah, could be. But dang, it's crazy. It's definitely crazy. I saw a Pedro. Pedro says, what if we traded up and drafted Travis Hunter? So I put out a tweet earlier this week about the Niners. If they traded up, to me, there's only 3 blue players that I would trade up for. I got maybe 4 blue players, meaning ready to go, loaded up, ready, play them, boom, impact, right? I only got 4, maybe 5. 4 and impossible. I play spades a lot, so 4, maybe 5. And my top, and here are my top 5, like those blue players that are just ready to go. Travis Hunter, I should have him 1. I feel like he's my number 1, and somehow I'm coerced to making him number 2. But Travis Hunter, all right. Abdul Carter is the best edge rusher in this draft. Okay. And even he has inexperience at the position, but he just looks the part, plays the part, has the moves, can still learn some more, pass rushing moves, but the bend is crazy out there on the edge. Speed is great. Um, so that's two. That's my top two. Mason Graham to me should be a blue player. I don't care if he's safe or whatever. He's the best defensive tackle in this draft. And when you look at overall defensive tackle, like you combine the run stopping with the pass rushing, the double teams, the anchor against the double teams, like this kid does it. The motor is there, the get off is there, the quick first step. Like he has every trait and tool in his bag. It's Mason Graham. Then no off the field issues. Got to throw that out there too, right? No immaturity issues. Got to throw those things out. He has everything. So to me, that's a blue player. You put him on the defense, you are going to be better for years to come. He might not end up being all pro, but he'll end up being a pro bowling type of defensive interior guy that's going to make sure your defensive front, you're not going to run on him. And you're not gonna, good luck trying to throw. He's gonna find a way to get back there. Mason Graham. And then there's those skill set players, the Aston Ginties. I don't know. He's phenomenal. He's the best running back in the draft. Now, are there other running backs that can do some of the things he do? Yeah, but they can't do it the way he does it. So that's a player. Like if you are a team and you are ready to go and loaded, you got your offensive line intact, you got your defense intact, and you can take a chance on one of those skilled players now, Jinty's the guy. He's the guy. So that's not, and then and the possible, right? The possible for me is Tyler Warren. Because I feel like overall, he's the best tight end in the draft. He might not be great at route running, speed, getting open. Fine. But overall, with all the categories that he's able to do, he's a great blocker. He's a great weapon. I mean, give me the guy that literally carried a team into the college playoffs. Like, give me that guy. Like, you want to know the offense. I mean, they had some running backs, but you want to know the offense was literally catered around him, and they still couldn't stop him. So give me that guy. That guy to me deserves that blue sort of on a player. So that's 5 players, right? I didn't put a quarterback in there. So you talked about trading up for Travis Hunter. He's one of those players I think I would definitely trade up for, because do the Niners need a cornerback? Yes. Do they need a wide receiver? Yes. They do. They need it. They need him. Why? Oh, I can tell you. Let's see. And that's where, you know what? Thank you, Pedro, because you just segue into my next topic. All right. You just segue into my next topic, and we're going to talk about these key losses for the San Francisco 49ers. And we can talk about them, right? Because the Niners, Dre Greenlaw, linebacker, Talanoa Hufanga, safety, Treverius Ward, corner, Javon Hargrave, defensive lineman, Leonard Floyd, edge rusher, Aaron Banks, left guard, Deebo Samuel, wide receiver. And I didn't name everybody, but I named players that I feel like are key losses. These were key contributors to the 49ers offense and defense. Every player I mentioned up here was a starter for the San Francisco 49ers. All of these players started, whether it was on offense or on defense. They weren't guys that came in. They weren't guys that were reserves and end up taking on starter roles. These were the starters. So the fact that you mentioned, Pedro, Travis Hunter and trading up for him, I mean, he literally replaced a couple of these guys in one player. Now, I believe he's ready to go as a corner. I think I think right now he's a better corner than wide receiver. But man, if you script him 5 to 10 plays offensively a game, man, and you put him out there on the football field with a Ricky Pearsall, a Jawan Jennings, a Ricky Pearsall, and made him that third wide receiver in the set, opposed to a Jacob, man, on certain plays, man, listen. But defensively, you can still utilize him. Outside guy, has the speed, has the twitch, has the quick feet, has the coverage skills. You can utilize him. Frame is a little tiny for my liking, but Ronaldo Green's not a big guy neither. You know what I mean? I'd rather have 3 lockdown corners than have 2. I'll leave it at that. So The question is, though, what would be the cost? That's the question. What would be the cost? Now, I do want to go over the 49ers draft history, all right? I kind of want to, before we get into more of the key losses and how we're going to replenish those guys, give me about 5 minutes. Let's go over the 49ers draft history. And you look at the San Francisco 49ers, it's like, well, let's kind of see how they've drafted. Now, every season was different, and we'll start from 2017. All right, we're gonna start from 2017. We're only focusing on the Kyle Shanahan era, right? So I'll share the screen with you guys so you can kind of see where I'm going. So let's start, right? So let's go down to 2017. That's where it all started. Now, this is where Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch took over. All right, let's pay attention to how they've drafted. All right, I could blow it up a little bit for you guys so you guys can kind of get a better sense of it. I just want to make sure I get the colleges up here as well. All right, so that should be a little bit better for you. All right, let's go with 2017. And in this draft, during this era, the Niners wanted to build the defense, and Robert Saleh was the defensive coordinator here at this time. So he was the new defensive coordinator with Kyle Shanahan, with John Lynch. And these are some of the players. I'm not sure how much power or say that, he had in 2017, but we went Solomon Thomas, Reuben Foster, and Ahkello Witherspoon. So let's just look. Those first three picks, the first three picks of 2017, what year are we in? 2025. So the first three picks of 2017 were defensive players. And in fact, it was an edge rusher. It was Reuben Foster, the linebacker that they traded back up into the first round with the New Orleans Saints when the Saints took Alvin Kamara in round 2. We went and got back Reuben Foster, and then it was Ahkello Witherspoon. And we got Reuben Foster to pair him up with Fred Warner, right? Who we got later. No, we had Reuben Foster first. He was going to be paired up with, I think it was Bowman at the time, if I'm not mistaken. And then we got Fred Warner the next year to pair up with Reuben Foster. So the Niners tried. They went defense, defense, defense. First three picks. Boom. Knocked that out the park. None of those players are here anymore. Didn't really work out. But they addressed what they felt like was how they were going to build their regime. They drafted a quarterback in C.J. Beathard in the 3rd round. Joe Williams didn't work out. 4th round running back. That's why the faithful don't like when Kyle Shanahan takes a running back in round 3 or round 4. They just feel like, nah. George Kittle, Trent Taylor, only players from this draft currently on the 49ers roster. Kittle's on the active roster. Trent Taylor's on the practice squad, but he's still here. All right. DJ Jones, we know he's in Denver. Peta is no longer here. He was the outside linebacker. So when you look at outside linebackers, it kind of scares you a little bit because the Niners went with the defensive end and Solomon Thomas, and then they went with that kind of like that outside linebacker type of defensive end, the smaller guy, whatever. Didn't work out. Adrian Colbert was the safety or DB that they drafted last in the 7th round. So that was 2017. To me, I feel like that's the draft where it kind of like kicked off how this team was going to try to shape themselves. They were going to shape themselves defensively. Boom. All right. So then you go to 2018, which we're down here now. Round 1, Mike McGlinchey. So they drafted a tackle. Round 1, Mike McGlinchey. Why do I feel like he played left tackle at Notre Dame? But I could be wrong. He might have still been the right tackle. But again, they got Mike McGlinchey in round 1, and then they went wide receiver in round 2. Sounds familiar? Now, hear me out. I feel like there's a pattern brewing here. All right. The pattern isn't from 2017 to 2018. They drafted a little bit different, but they did draft Fred Warner in round 3, along with Tavarius Moore in round 3. Fred Warner was going to be it was going to be a Fred Warner, Reuben Foster type of linebacking situation. They got the hybrid kid in Fred Warner. He played safety, converted to linebacker. So he was going to, and unfortunately, Fred ended up taking all of that over because Reuben Foster didn't work out. So they kind of like fixed that situation. Tavarius Moore didn't really work out. Contavious Street didn't work out. DJ Reed worked out. Unfortunately, ended up, we released him. He gets picked up. Boom, 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 boom. All that good stuff. Marcel Harris, they were trying to convert him into playing, I don't know. He was too slow to play safety, and they were trying to get him to be a linebacker. Didn't really understand that. Anyway, Julian Taylor, Richie James had a couple of good games with the 49ers, and that was that, okay? But they ended up drafting 2 wide receivers that year, which is funny, in round 2 and in round 7. And the only player from that draft that remains on this team is the All-Pro Fred Warner. So right now, we got Fred Warner, we got George Kittle, and we got Trent Taylor. Now, let's get to 2019, because this is the draft I feel like Robert Saleh might have started to, you know what, I'm lying. I don't think Robert Saleh had anything to do with the first 3 years he was here. I think in 2020, he was given a little green light on, or far as input on what he wanted in the draft. And I could be wrong, but I think that's kind of like what it was. Okay. That's just my take on it. So you go back to 2019, you get Nick Bosa in round 1, which just literally fell into the 49ers lap because the Cardinals took Kyler Murray, and Nick Bosa, who probably wanted to be the number 1 pick, fell right to the San Francisco 49ers. Okay, so thank God for that at pick 2. And we finally, Robert Saleh finally got a premier player. Finally, right? I'm not saying Fred Warner wasn't premier, but you got him in the 3rd round. But when I say premier, you finally got that 1st round pick. That's what I mean. I don't want to take anything away from Fred Warner. Okay, let me say that. All right, I'm not taking anything away from Fred. Fred Warner is the best defender on the San Francisco 49ers. Boom, I said that. Anyway, Nick Bosa's here. You get Deebo Samuel. That's a Kyle Shanahan guy. Jalen Hurd. I think Jalen Hurd was a Kyle Shanahan guy too. I think Kyle Shanahan picks his wide receivers. I really do think he picks his wide receivers. But he had to clean up the Dante Pettis. He had to clean up the Richie James. Even though those guys still remained here, he had to kind of like clean up. So he went double. Jalen Hurd didn't work out. The injuries. Deebo Samuel worked out. Mitch Wisnowski, we drafted a punter in the 4th round. You get Dre Greenlaw. I think that was Johnny Holland, right? He gets Jay Greenlaw. Caden Smith, another player we drafted, cut, boom. I feel like Caden Smith would have been the next best tight end that the 49ers drafted. But unfortunately, they thought they can cut him and stash him on the practice squad, and the Giants picked him up. But he was turning out to be what we needed him to be. That's why we had to go other routes. Caden Smith got picked up. Justin School, Tim Harris, those guys didn't really work out for the Niners. All right, so you get Nick Bosa, you get Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel is no longer on the roster. He's been traded. Mitch Wisnowski is still the punter. Dre Greenlaw signed to the Denver Broncos in free agency, and the rest of the players are gone. So, again, the Niners are still trying to, they're still building off of defense. I think that's kind of where I'm going with this. All right. They're still building off of the defense, which will lead me into my segue where I think the Niners probably going to go in this particular draft. All right. So you get to 2020. This is Robert Saleh's last year here. Javon Kinlaw. Yes, I believe this was a Robert Saleh pick. Why? Because Javon Kinlaw coming out of college was a freak. He was a big mammoth of a man. He was huge. He was strong. He was powerful. But you know where he struggled? And it wasn't injuries. He did have some knee injuries, but it wasn't the injuries. It was the fact that he played with a high pad level. And I'm not understanding, being that tall, that big, why that wasn't a red flag for the San Francisco 49ers. I guess in theory, Saleh felt like Chris Kocurek can coach him. I think that's what it was. I think the issue with any, and listen, maybe he could have. Maybe Chris Kocurek could have coached Javon Kinlaw. I think that's the issue was Javon Kinlaw started getting injured. Wasn't it his rookie season he ended up with, he got the pick 6 against the Rams? Wasn't it? Didn't he get a pick 6 against, he got a pick 6. I can't remember what the team was. You saw flash. Now, I think the 49ers were having traumatic experiences because we traded literally one of our best defensive players. If not at the time, might have been the best defensive player we had. We traded DeForest Buckner. He might have been the best defensive player we had, even over Fred Warner at that time. Nick Bosa was a rookie, and you moved on from DeForest Buckner. So maybe and you know, maybe it wasn't a solid pick, but what leads me to thinking that it was a solid pick was the simple fact that when Javon Kinlaw became a free agent, where did he play? He played for the New York Jets under head coach Robert Saleh. Now that could just mean he liked him, but I feel like that was his guy, and it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Brandon Ayuk, I just feel like Kyle Shanahan picks all his wide receivers. I don't care what anybody says. Colton McKivitz, 5th-round pick, start right tackle for the 49ers right now. Charlie Warner, again, player played out his rookie contract with the 49ers and then signed with the Atlanta Falcons. Jawan Jennings, another dog. This was definitely a Kyle Shanahan pick for sure. And when you look at this draft, obviously when we get later into the draft, more of these players are going to be on the roster, right? But Kinlaw's gone. Warner is gone. But Ayuk is here on the IR. McKivitz is our starting right tackle. Jawan Jennings is right now our wide receiver 1. That's just what it is. All right. And then it got weird, right? It got weird because in 2021, you get the COVID year. We get hella picks. You don't really get a chance to like meet the players. It's all virtual, all this, all that. It's just weird, right? And so the Niners, they traded up 1st-round picks in the future for their quarterback. Trey Lance didn't work out, no longer with the team. Aaron Banks did his rookie contract. He's now on a different team as well. Trey Sermon, they released. Henry Thomas, they released. Jalen Moore signed with the Chiefs. Deommodore Lenoir is the only person from 2021 that remains on this roster. Let's let that sink in. So the cornerback in the 5th round is the only person that remains on this roster. Hufanga signed with the Broncos. Elijah Mitchell signed with the Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I know he's on a different team, right? So all those players are gone, just about. Now, I'm going to get to some points in a second. I'm just going through the draft history, so bear with me. I'll speed this up. 2022, we don't have a 1st-round pick for the next couple of seasons, okay? 22, 23, we traded him away to get Trey Lance, who is now with the Los Angeles Chargers, okay? So Drake Jackson, he's currently on the IR. The story's out there. He's recovering, but there's a possibility he may never play football again. Possibility. All right. I'm going to get to some of the chats in a second. And so there's a possibility Drake Jackson doesn't play football. The 3rd-round running back, gone. They released him. Tyrion Davis-Price, Danny Gray, gone. Finally signed a wide receiver with speed, but he couldn't do enough to get on the football field for Kyle Shanahan. He had injuries. He couldn't block. It was different, right? And I think that was more of a Trey Lance guy, and we kind of moved away from that. Spencer Burford's still here. And right now he's in contention of being the starting left guard for the 49ers. You draft him as an offensive lineman. I felt like he played tackle at UTSA, and then he ended up coming into the 49ers playing guard on the right side. And then we'll get to the next draft for sure. And he filled in really good on the left side at left guard. Samuel Womack, the 49ers released, and he got picked up by the Colts, so that's where he is. Nick Zakelj is here. Kalia Davis is here. Tariq Castro-Fields was the first on this list to be released. He didn't make it out of camp. He did get picked up by other teams, but he's currently gone, and they do like players from Penn State, so keep that in your back burner. All right. Brock Purdy. That's a money pick right there, man. Brock Purdy in round 7, Mr. Irrelevant himself, pick 262. As you can see, Brock Purdy, who is up for a contract extension right now. So 2023, 3rd-round picks galore, compensatory picks. Jair Brown, I believe we traded up to get Jair Brown, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but that's another Penn State guy. Jake Moody, they draft with a compensatory pick at pick 99. And Cam Latu. All right. Cam Latu is no longer on the roster. Darrell Luter Jr. is here. Robert Bill Jr. is here. D. Winters is here. Braden Willis is here. Ronnie Bell is gone. Jalen Graham has been brought back. So you got a big chunk of these guys still remaining on this roster. The question is how many will make it to camp, like make it out of camp and onto the active roster. Jair Brown, Jake Moody, Darrell Luter, Robert Bill. And that's where it's going to get tricky because with this draft coming up, it's going to get tricky. You got a corner up here. You got an edge rusher up here. You got a linebacker up here. You got another tight end up here. And they drafted Jalen Graham, and they said he was a safety. Interesting. I thought he was a linebacker. All right. And then in the last draft, all right, the Niners pick 31. They take Ricky Pearsall in the first round. Renardo Green. You see, they're drafting these corners, and we'll talk about those key losses again. Dominic Pooney, guard, offensive lineman. Malik Mustafa. They get another safety. Right? Isaac Orendo, Jacob Conway, all 4th-round picks. They drafted another offensive lineman, Jared Kingston, in the 6th round, but they released him, thought they were going to be able to stash him. It never works out for the Niners, too, by the way. Every time they think they can stash a player, that player gets picked up real quick. And then Tatum Bethune was the 7th-round linebacker, all right? 7th linebacker. It was against the Rams. Okay. Thank you, Derek Thomas. It was against the Rams. He got that pick 6. Caden Smith, I do not believe is in the league. I'm just looking at some of the questions in the chat. So that's the draft history of the 49ers. And it may kind of tell how they may go in this particular draft. Not so much because you got to really go off with these key losses. I think these key losses is the key. All right, so let's go through each one of these really quickly, and then let's talk about some of the players. And if you guys got questions, put your questions in the comment section. Make sure you label it question 2 so I can see it. And those that are members of the channel, those questions will be answered first. They get the first dibs at me responding to them, unless you give a super chat. If you give a super chat, boom, you get to the top. All right. So I just wanted to put that out there. And for those other remaining, just put question in your tab. If you have any draft questions, feel free to ask. This is that type of show, Q&A, baby. Dre Greenlaw. Listen, man, key player. It's going to be hard to replace a Dre Greenlaw. I don't think you can replace a Dre Greenlaw. Let me just be clear. I don't think Dre Greenlaw is replaceable. I think the position is replaceable, but we're talking about the player. We're talking about the mindset. We're talking about so much that Dre Greenlaw brought to this team. His cognitive ability out there on the football field, his ability to cover, his ability to play against the run, his ability with the sideline speed, him knowing when to turn the motor off, him knowing when to turn the motor on. Like, there's a lot when it comes to Dre Greenlaw, guys. This is just so much, okay? So freaking much. So when it comes to Dre Greenlaw, he's going to be hard to replace, okay? Now, that doesn't mean you don't replace the position. Now, we go back to this 2023 draft. They drafted 2 linebackers, D. Winters, Jalen Graham. I'm glad I kept this chart up too, by the way. D. Winters, Jalen Graham. So those 2 linebackers will get an opportunity. But they also drafted D. Winters in the 6th round and Jalen Graham in the 7th round. There's some linebackers in this draft, upcoming draft. I'm saying that may give those 2 veteran players a run for their money at the position. That's right, a run for their money at the position. But the question is linebacker a huge position of need for the 49ers? Yes, Dre Greenlaw is a key loss, but I think the Niners feel like they have. Kyle Shanahan talked about D. Winters. I feel like D. Winters is going to get the shot for the linebacker, especially for that weak side position. I feel like he's going to get the shot. Now, I think he'll be a better blitzing linebacker, maybe play on the other side. But as far as coverage, we'll see. That does not mean they don't address the position. But will they address the position in rounds 1, 2, or 3? It kind of got me thinking. Maybe round 3. Definitely not round 1. Definitely not round 2. I don't think the Niners go linebacker round 1 and 2. Do I want Jahai Campbell? Yes. Do I think they go there? No. Why? Because I think they feel like they got an off-ball guy. His name is D. Winters, and that's who they're going to rock with. And then they'll probably draft another linebacker for sure right? All right, boom. So let's get to the next guy, Talanoa Hufanga. Well, they've drafted safety after safety after safety. This does not mean that they don't draft a safety. That is not what WayneBreezie is saying. You can call me by my government name for all I care. Wayne Patrick Brown is not saying that they won't draft a safety. I think they do. I think maybe one of those pro day safeties, and I'm praying that flashed for the 49ers. His name is Craig Woodson out of California. I'm hoping he did enough to get the attention of the San Francisco 49ers. But remember, Ray Brown, new DB's coach, what's his type? We don't know, right? We got to go off of who he's coached in the past in college and some of the players he's coached up, right? It's going to be tough to figure out. So we'll see. We're going to learn in this draft. We don't know off the top of our head. Travarius Ward. And so, like I said, with Talanoa Hufanga, look, drafting Malik Mustafa and then Jair Brown, the draft right before, kind of doesn't make it seem like I'm going to get my boy Drew McCouble. Like, I just feel like I'm not going to get him. I'm definitely not getting Nicky Manwari, right? Like, so they're my top two guys. After that, you can miss me on the safety position. I do like Billy Bowman Jr. out of Oklahoma. I do want to put that out there. And then after that, I feel like I'm just going to wait, see what happens, man. I get a guy undrafted, cool beans. If not, yeah, there's some guys I think we can get maybe in the 7th round. We do have 3 7th-round picks. I do not mind hoping the safeties drop to get one of those guys in the 7th round. All right, so that's that. All right, so Travarius Ward, key corner when he was at the top of his game. We knew what he could do. He was a lock out there, wasn't giving up much. But the Niners did last year draft a guy that I feel like is going to play great on the outside. They had him playing on the inside this year, and stuff like that. And that's Renardo Green. I felt like he struggled there. He still struggled in some of the zone concepts. Okay, that's tough for these young kids, especially when they come out playing man in college and they got to play zone, different scheme, different concept, right? But I feel like they were prepared for the loss of Travarius Ward. They were prepared for the loss of Talanoa Hufanga, and they may have been slightly prepared for the loss of Dre Greenlaw. Let's talk about Javon Hargrave, because a lot of people feel like he didn't give the Niners anything, which he didn't. He didn't play much, so I get it. But the hope was he was going to be the guy to plug the middle. Now I'm looking at this draft chart. Okay, I'm looking at the history of the drafts. I don't see one defensive lineman here. Man, the last defensive lineman we took was in 2020. And he ain't even on the team. I can tell you right now, a prime position for the 49ers in this draft, prime, and I mean prime, is defensive line. I'm telling you right now, don't be surprised. Pick 11, we'll see who's available, but that's prime real estate for this position right here. Prime real estate. How do I know? Because right now, my starting defensive tackles are Jordan Elliott and maybe Kevin Givens or Evan Anderson, undrafted guy. Love him to death. Definitely did what he needed to do. Kevin Anderson's coming off an injury. They resigned to a 1-year deal. Look, prime. Leave it at that. Next up, Leonard Floyd. Let's talk about Leonard Floyd, because the last time we drafted an edge rusher was a couple of years ago in Robert Bill Jr. because they thought that he was going to be speed off the edge. Now the Niners do look to go edge rusher. They went edge rusher in 2023. They went edge rusher in 2022. And then they went edge in 2019 with Nick Bosa. And of course, they went edge in 2017. I just feel like, me personally, this may be the year of the edge. This is not a heavy defensive end draft class. It's more a lot of outside linebackers from the 3-4 types of defenses. But hey, if you can find the one that you can get that can fit, I say you rock with it, right? If it fits, you get it. It fits, you rock with it. Boom. So this might be where 11 is spent. Look, Mike Green, I understand small school, but the production is real. Those sacks weren't fake. And then when he gets to the Senior Bowl, he produces even more on a higher level against the All-Stars. So you want me to draft an offensive lineman that he literally abused first because he went to a small school? Make it make sense. If I watched him manhandle every all-star offensive lineman that is in this draft, except for Will Campbell, he wasn't at the Senior Bowl. Membu got sick. But all the other guys were pretty much there, including one of my favorites. If I watched him do his thing, why wouldn't he be a premium choice? And if you say it's because of the background stuff, fine, cool. But he was brought in for, I think he was brought in for a top 30 visit for a reason. Like he's a guy that the Niners are probably a little high in on. So defensive edge sounds like a premium position that the Niners need to fill for sure. Let's go, Aaron. Let's go on the offensive side, Aaron Banks. So the Niners are drafting offensive lineman after offensive lineman after offensive lineman. It really sucks that we didn't get a chance to see what Jared Kingston could do because they did draft. But I think the Niners, I feel like if I'm going offensive lineman here, I feel like losing Aaron Banks, a starter, is a key position that needs to be filled. I don't think the Niners need to look for the best tackle available. I think they need to look for the best offensive lineman available, especially whether it's round 1, whether it's round 2. And if it's round 1 and they want the best offensive lineman, not tackle, that's Tyler Booker. I don't care if his athleticism and speed time is for the kid is a mauler, okay? And the kid will literally use all 330 plus pounds and knock your ass out twice on the same play. I can't even imagine with Trent Williams and Tyler Booker. Oh my God, I can't even imagine two big guys coming at you in the outside zone game. And then you don't lose anything because if you switch it up to the power run schemes, that's where his strength lies. But the kid can play an outside zone. Don't let the 10 yards and the 40 and the shuttle fool you. You can't, we can't be these type of fans, right? We can't like the underwear Olympics for some players and not like it for the other players. Either we like it or we don't like it. Either we're going to use it or we're not going to use it. So just use it. But watch the film. Tyler Booker. I'm not saying the Niners need to go there at 11, but if they don't, they won't get him, and then they got to settle for a different guy. But Tyler Booker and Tate Ratledge are probably my top 2 guards. I think that's the position that the Niners need to figure out. If they're going offensive line, don't worry about the tackle. Find that guard. Because right now it's Ben Barch and it's Spencer Burford, a guy that's only took minimum snaps at the left guard last year because he had to, because of the injury. And I'm not saying he won't win out the job. I'm not saying Ben Barch won't win out the job. I'm not saying Nick Zakelj will win out I don't know. But there's probably players in this draft that play that position right now that might win out the job. So if I'm looking to improve the offensive line, it's not at the tackle position. And yeah, I get it. Trent Williams getting old. Yeah, well, guess what? There's a 2026 draft coming up next year. I get my Colton McKivitz. Yeah, there's a 2026 draft coming up next year. There's another draft. God willing, there's another draft. Those positions are already filled. Now, I'm not saying that the offensive line can't be better, but if the offensive line is missing, is one key position that's missing, they lost a starter in Aaron Banks, and that's the spot that I think the 49ers look to fill in this draft. Last but not least, I want to talk about Deebo Samuel, the wide receiver trade. I don't think this is a huge position in need. I think they draft a wide receiver, but they've already proved to me that they were going to be moving on from a wide receiver. Oh, I know. Last year they drafted Ricky Pearsall in the first round. That's how I know. They pay Brandon Ayuk, right? So they pay Brandon Ayuk after they drafted Ricky Pearsall. Like you get where I'm going with this? And so that right there let Deebo know, well, damn, this might be it for me. So cool beans. And it was. Deebo's gone. No love lost. And I think the Niners will go wide receiver because that's what Kyle does. Listen, Kyle has 11 picks. And I'm not saying we use all 11, but he has 11 picks in this draft. I think Kyle Shanahan's going to find a receiver or two. I just do. So getting back to the positions of need and getting back to where the Niners are probably going to go in the first 2 days of the draft, right? 4 picks. We got 4 picks. And a combination of, if it fits, it ships. Johnny, that was funny. I'm just looking at the chat. We got a super chat contribution, and I apologize for missing these. I was watching the screen. My bad. Let me get to this. Slick 68. I knew this was going to be a shot at somebody that I like, but it's all good. Ronnie Bell think he's slick, calling himself Alec Ayumaner, trying to get back to the. He did. I missed that. I did not see that. But he does. Okay. So are you talking about because Alec, had on the number 10 jersey and he kind of looked like Ronnie Bell in the picture? Is that what you alluded to? Because that's what I saw too. I'm like, wait a minute. Did Bell come back? Is Bell at the pro day? You know what I'm saying? That's what I thought. They look identical. Now the question is, can Alec catch? That'll be the question. But thank you for the super chat contribution, my brother. All right, I'm going to kind of scroll back a little bit. And again, if you guys have any questions, make sure again you label it as a question, and I'll do my best to get to the questions. And if I missed your question, my bad. But if you got some questions, man, put them in there. I see a couple of comments out here. Move Garendo into the Debo role. He has the hands and the ball skills for it. Now, you guys do remember, and Silent, this is not a bad comment right here. Silent. I really like the way your name is spelled. That's so dope. Anyway, that's not bad because he's a former wide receiver. Hence why he has the ball tracking skills, right? He has great hands and ball tracking skills. There's a reason why he was drafted with such, and please, let's not take small sample sizes out of the equation. Kyle Shanahan, for some reason, don't give two flying about small sample sizes because Isaac Garendo didn't play much in college, and we drafted him in the 4th round. So that's not a bad idea. Jake Lang over on Facebook, how bad do you think we will suck? Jake, I'm the most optimistic person. We can have the bad news Bears as our team, and I still think we go out there and win 10 to 12 games. I'm just the worst optimistic person ever. So I don't ever think we'll suck. We could be 0-16. And we get to that 17 game, I'll be like, we about to win. We gonna win. We gonna win today. Even though I know we suck, I'm still not gonna think we suck. So I'm not the person you want to ask this question to. Cynthia, what's going on? She's in the building. Cynthia, thanks so much for tuning in. Another member of the Breezy Bunch crew. It's good to see you. All right, question from Niner Faithful. Who in the draft can help in the red zone? So are we talking Niner Faithful from a blocking standpoint? Are we talking from a productive standpoint as far as catching? Like, I need to know more of your question. You know what I mean? But how about I just answer both? From a blocking standpoint, man, you get a guy like Tyler Booker, man, you ain't got to worry. Man, Brock Purdy it'll be like God opening up the Red Sea, right? And you want to score. And don't forget it. If you draft and if you're out there in 12 personnel and Booker and Kittle and Williams is loaded on the left side, man, the defense will probably just get down and lay down. That's some state property talk right there. If you guys know about that, that'd be crazy. But as far as a production side, as far as like talent, I mean, there's so many weapons. I think the Niners have the weapons. I really think the blocking scheme was terrible. I think they couldn't do what they wanted out of 12 personnel. And Kyle Juszczyk, I love him, but he's not a tight end anymore. Like he was in college, but he's not now, right? And he's not the big blocking tight end. And so like, you know, not being able to have like a great 12 personnel in the red zone, I really think hindered the 49ers offense a lot. You couldn't run. couldn't do certain things. It was crazy. It was crazy to me. You know what I mean? That's just me. That's just me. All right. Again, let's see. I'm looking for what's going on, Peachy. I'm looking for questions. Any draft questions? Johnny Dell, on a scale of 1 to 10, why are you so awesome? Because of you. You're awesome. That's why. So make sure you guys check out Johnny Dell. He is doing live shows and he's breaking down film like none other. And you know what? Like if you want the film breakdown, now I'm not gonna lie, Johnny, I gotta keep it real. Okay. When the common person watch you, sometimes you teaching that advanced calculus class, man. Sometimes you got to bring it back to algebra 2 trig. You know what I mean? So like sometimes it's difficult, but that's why I'll watch it. I'll ask you questions, and then I can explain it in my way. I'll give you the algebra 2 way. Now look, I finished. I was really great in math, but football. Johnny, and the concept. I mean, he just. I feel like why are you not running a team? Like you know the plays, you got the playbook. Johnny sent me a playbook, and I went through the playbook, and I said I can never play professional football. This is way too. This is. It was Kyle Shanahan's. This is way too. What the hell is this? So you gotta have a good mind. Like, you know what I mean? You gotta understand, Johnny is on point with his film breakdowns for sure. He's a great guy too, as well. And every time we at the Senior Bowl, we make that one stop. And Johnny, thank you again for allowing me to be fat on the last day. Johnny let me order whatever I wanted, and then I ordered something else, but they didn't have it, so they gave me extra of what I really wanted. Because Johnny, man, I had rib tips for a week. Candy, what do we call them? Candy, not candy ribs. Oh my God, what was the name of it? Rib candy? Rib candy. All right, rib candy. Niner Faithful question: when is the okay? So Johnny has asked me. I don't want people to think that Johnny has not reached out to me. He has. Johnny, I had some plumbing issues this week, hence why I'm just going live today, right? So wasn't really happy about the plumbing issues and not really happy about my bank account. But it's being taken care of. To God be the glory. And my bathroom will be up to par shortly. So I couldn't even work in my studio because of the water. Anyway, I'm afraid of water now all of a sudden. So Johnny and I will be collabing hopefully within the next week. All right, right before the draft. All right. Silent. He said that rib candy almost took me out. I was so full. Like Danny Stutzman, thoughts on him at linebacker. I think Danny Stutzman, excuse me, as a linebacker is probably like, how can I say this? I think he is the prototypical, like if you were going to build a linebacker, it's him. But he does have his flaws, right? Like his play strength, his ability to shed blocks. But as a Mike linebacker, like if that's what he is, that's what he is to me. He's a Mike. He's a guy that understands the game. That's him. I don't know if he'll fit the 49ers right now. I'm not drafting I don't want to draft a guy that I know can only play one position. Like if the Niners need the versatility of the linebackers right now because no one's really taking over from Fred. And I don't think you got to replace Fred. Now, if you have the ability to play Mike, that's great. But and that's why I think Jalen Graham struggles, like because he's a Mike. But if you put him on the strong side or the weak side, he's missing tackles. So I feel like if you brought in Danny Stutzman to this team, like I feel like he's a Dallas Cowboy, and I know people hate the Dallas Cowboys, but that's what I feel. That's what I feel. I feel like he would be like he reminds me of Leighton Vander Esch. Did I say his name right? That's who he reminds me of. Downhill guy, doesn't have super quick speed, but is going to be there on the ball. Now, if you want to go with a more athletic version of a Danny Stutzman, that's Carson Schwarzenegger out of UCLA. And so now you're going to get the athleticism, the speed, the sideline to sideline, the mobile ability. Guy could play Mike, could play the weak side, could play strong side. That's a little bit different, but you're going to spend a little bit more to me on draft capital. Tanisha, what's going on? Good morning to you as well. That is not what I meant. It was the bathtub. Y'all the worst, yo. Like you guys are the worst. I'm the worst, best freaking live chat on all of YouTube. Like, there's no live chat better than mine. I don't care who you are. The live chat here is ridiculous. The fact that you said that I was dropping bombs, that's kind of messed up. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, yeah, it's where it happened, but that's not what it was. The water from the shower head was dripping into my recording studio through the ceiling, and I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. So it wasn't whatever. It's being fixed. It ain't got nothing to do with a bomb. You know what I mean? It ain't got nothing to do with a bomb. So his straight line speed, Steve, is good, but his sideline to sideline speed is where I'm talking about. So like I said, as a Mike linebacker, this works perfect, right? This works perfect, right? Because he's playing downhill as a downhill linebacker. And I think that's kind of like how I was trying to explain it. Downhill, he the man. He's a missile. He's coming in. Boom, right? Now, put him in coverage. Make him go this way. Make him go laterally. A little stiff for me. Pause. Can't believe I said that. Long Island girl in the building. What's going on? Peachy says I'm the absolute best. I appreciate that. We got one last question, I think. I think this is a question, right? Mark, my brother Mark. What's going on, Mark? He says, assuming Hunter was just a wide receiver. Oh, snap. Who would be cornerback 2 behind Will Johnson? And what's the talent gap between quarterback 1 and cornerback 2? Yeah. So I think what makes Will Johnson cornerback 1, if Travis Hunter was just a full wide receiver, I want to put that's the caveat, right? Is his ceiling is higher than any cornerback coming out. And I think what's messing him up is he's not running and the injuries, and people are starting to get a little weary about the injuries out there, which is fine. Now, who would be lined up for that third guy? I don't really think that I think for me with the cornerbacks, there are types. How do you want to go? Do you want to go with size? Do you want to go with size and speed? Do you want to go with size, speed, and tackling? Do you want to go with size, speed, tackling, zone man? There's so many different ways to go. I'm trying to think who let me look at my top 100 sheet. Just bear with me because I got my guys ranked, which you guys can get these on the Patreon too. All you got to do is sign up for the Patreon. It'll cost you $1 and you'll get my sheets, my top 100 booklet, and it's got strengths, weaknesses, best team fit, all that good stuff. So do you want to go versatility? See, this is a tough question. So I think Will Johnson is a premier outside guy. Like, ceiling is Pat Surtain. Floor, sauce. like that's how great he is. Because it's his football instincts. And then out after that, I think you're taking chances because I believe Suvon Ravel out of East Carolina can be exactly that. But the guy that I would go with, like my number 2 corner, because I don't have Hunter. Hunter, he messed it up for me, so he ain't in none of my tops. But the number 2 corner for me, Trey Amos out of Ole Miss. Because if you're looking for a guy with speed, size, tackling, and everything, you're looking for the complete corner. He doesn't have to have the versatility to play inside or outside. If you're looking for a complete corner, Trey Amos is going to be a problem. A problem. He's going to be a problem. He's number 36 on my big board, but he can easily be a first round pick. Mark, easily first round pick. All right. So Trey Amos, man. Ole Miss. Super chat from Silent Isaiah Bond is done. Listen, look, I didn't even have him on my list. I once. So you want to talk about John Chapman? If John says stay away from the guy because he's a Texas guy, stay away from. It was done. I knew not to watch. It was Matthew Golden for me. Now he transferred to Texas from Alabama. And he just never really got going. Top 3 receivers. Top day 3 receivers. Man, this is a tough question because, like, I'm sure receivers are going to fall. But my top day 3, so that means guys that fallen out of my top 100. Woo, you want me to work? All right, I'm just gonna give you 3 receivers, just like off the top of my dome. All right, Nick Nash. Is he out of where's Nick Nash out of? Sacramento State or San Jose State? He's one of them California kids. Nick Nash, big receiver, 4.5. He's a faster wide Juwan Jennings. I keep putting that out there. Big body wide receiver. I like the kid from oh my gosh, is it Ricky? I don't have my list of receivers, but let me get it up. So I'm not gonna sit here and play around. I'll give you my day 3 top guys real quick. Give me a second. But I definitely love Nick Nash. I think Nick Nash, who also had he was at the 49ers local pro day. I thought that was pretty daggone dope. All right, so wide receivers on day 3 that I think will be available day 3. So Nick Nash is one. Torrey Horton out of Colorado State. He's 50-50 in contested catches. He doesn't drop the ball much. Holds on to the ball, 6'3", 185. So he has a bigger body frame. I really like him. He's played other sports professionally. He's just a good wide receiver, good hands. And then there's the fast kid. No one's talking about Dante in the San Jose State, which is what I thought. Somebody said he went to Sacramento State. I was like, y'all wrong. San Jose State for Nick Nash. Dante Thornton Jr., man. Like, how are we missing out? I know the production isn't there. Okay, he only had 662 yards last year, but that was because their offense is a super spread offense, and Tennessee's weird. But at the end of the day, the kid is 6, if I'm not mistaken, and he ran a 4.3. Give me Dante Thornton. Those 3 guys: Dante Thornton, Nick Nash, and who's the other guy that I said off the top of my head? See how bad I am. Torrey Horton out of Colorado State. Some smaller schools. You think Saleh would get wild enough to cater to Jalen Carter or Jalen Walker skill set? I don't know. I feel like when I talk about him, I come off negative, and I don't want to. Those aren't my intentions. But can I just talk a little bit about Jalen Walker and what I like and then what I dislike? Okay. If we draft Jalen Walker, I would like to utilize Jalen Walker. I would like to say you are an edge rusher, or you are a linebacker. And then allow him to do a little bit of the other. Now, I personally believe from watching film that he's a better edge rusher than a linebacker, but because he's labeled as linebacker, when I see him rush from the edge, it's more like he's blitzing. And when you say this, does Robert Saleh blitz a lot? Because if Jalen Walker's best unique abilities is his athleticism. And so if he doesn't win off of athleticism, he doesn't have the pass rushing moves to take on these bigger blockers, these tackles, the whatever, right? And so it makes me a little weird. Like, why would he be somebody that we're highly sought after other than he's hella athletic, but he is undersized as a defensive end on the 4.3. But if you're cool with 6'2", 245, there's a bunch of other 6'2", 245 guys you can get. Why not go after those guys? So I don't know, man. I like Jalen Walker. At pick 11, I'm a little weary. If he fell to 43, I'm like, hell yeah. The question is not can. It's you said would, and that's the question. Like, would Robert Saleh be creative and using him. I don't know. I don't know if Salah's creative. He's an all gas, no brakes type of guy. But you got to use him in a specific way for him to unlock. I don't think the Niners can afford to go after a kid that you got to use in a specific way to unlock. Go get me the edge rusher. Go get me the linebacker. But I do like the fact that he has the ability to play off ball. I ain't gonna lie. He might not be great in coverage, but he's great tackler. Athleticism's through the roof. Man, I think he ran a 4.51, if I'm not mistaken. Speed is there. He's not my favorite linebacker, but if I talk more about him as an edge rusher, I'm intrigued. Ricky White, Oscar, was another wide receiver that I like. Thank you, Oscar. Kobe Hudson from UCF, another guy. Webster, another guy. So like that's my issue. Like, when it comes to, will he be able to withstand some of the big guys that's going to be blocking him? What is Micah Parsons' size? Can somebody tell me that off the top of the head? I could look it up before we get out of here. I see the Micah Parsons comparisons. I'm just trying to see, because Micah Parsons is an edge rusher. I just want to know what his is he 6'2", 6'3", 6'4"? Like what is Micah Parsons? Let's see, 6'3", 245. There it is. And I think that's the hype for Walker, right? Thank you. I think that's it, right? He's the Micah. He's the Micah. We should have drafted Micah. That's the guy. So I get the infatuation, but you got to be creative in order to use him. He doesn't have Micah Parsons' speed, bend, but he does have he is hella athletic. And there you go, Steve. There you go, man. I agree. I agree. I agree. I'm not comparing him to Micah, but I've heard people say he can be like that Micah Parsons type of guy. And I'm just like, well, Micah, first of all, his mentality is different. And second, he gifted. I ain't gonna lie. But where does Micah Parsons struggle, y'all? Against Trent Williams, against the speed, strong tackles. Those tackles that are quick enough to hit him, those tackles that are strong enough to take him on as a pass rusher, Parsons is a non-factor. I don't want a non-factor. I don't. That's not what I want. I don't want a non-factor. I feel like I like him. I just feel like it can be a little tricky when it comes down to using them. All right, last super chat of today's episode, and I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if this is your first time watching. It helps the channel out tremendously because YouTube likes it. YouTube likes it when you subscribe, right? YouTube likes new people watching the show. So make sure you guys do that as well. Why is the league so set on defensive end? Seems to me defensive tackle, and thank you for the super chat contribution, has more potential for impact. The better you are at interior, the easier it makes things for all the defense. Yeah, this is a great question, Silent. This is a great question. So my theory is, who's the guy that gets to the quarterback more? So when you look at offense, usually the wide receiver is the flashy player, guy that catches the touchdowns, make people miss, stuff like that, right? Running backs, today's running backs kind of do the same thing, especially in the receiving game, right? So, but when you on the defensive side, that flashy player, it's not the cornerback, it's not that, because they're not really being thrown the ball to their way all the time. They might be covering, but they don't get a chance to make that play. When you look at a defensive end, usually in the pass rushing mode, their eyes are pin their ears back and go get the guy, right? And so getting home, getting the sacks, I think kind of stands out more. Now, I think that the defensive tackles take on more of a role. They're the guys being doubled. And some defensive ends are being doubled a lot, especially those bigger ones, right? You're not really doubling the quick guys. You might chip them, right? But you're not really doubling, like, right? But those big guys, look at Nick Bosa. I mean, the double team rate is really there. I mean, that's why they're getting paid. They're taking up doubles. But I agree, like the interior has more of an assignment, right? Like their job should give them premium money, but not everybody. I think their job is like it's like not everybody does it the same. You got your big nose tackles, you got your three techs. You got different you got different types of roles. I'm not sure why there's a big difference in the gap. I do understand your question. Um, but for some reason, the edge players are known for making the quarterbacks bleed, which is weird because the quickest way to a quarterback is in a straight line. But usually up front, them defensive tackles are pretty much getting like blocked down, and like it's different. Usually you get more, what it is? You kind of get more one-on-ones with edge rushers, and if they win their one-on-ones, they stand out. I think they stand out. You know what I mean? So I think that's why you get that, in my opinion. That's why you get that. Guys, thank y'all so much for tuning into the show. I'm going to let you go. Enjoy your weekend. Happy Friday to everybody out there. Hopefully, I'll be back on Monday with another WayneBreezie show. We'll be talking more about the draft. Get y'all questions ready, man. This is where you can ask me anything when it comes to pertaining to the draft. I've felt like I've done a lot of homework on a lot of stuff, invested a lot of time. So let's talk, man. Love you guys. Keep it faithful to the Bay always. And I will be doing live draft show right here on the channel. We will be going live an hour before the draft, and then we'll take a break after our pick. I got to go live on Bleacher Report for 30, and then we'll come back right after and react to the draft pick. We'll break it down and all that good stuff, all right? So make sure you stay locked in right here. Make sure your alerts are set to all so you don't miss an episode. Love y'all. Keep it faithful to the Bay. Peace. What's up, faithful? Thanks for watching. Hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and make sure you check out some of the other cool videos.